What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another Baldur's Gate 3 video, and today I wanted to dive into should you play this game. And this is not my full review, and I haven't even done like a first impressions video because I kind of feel like after 3 years of early access and y'all watching me stream this game for the last few weeks since it's launched, I think we've got a pretty clear idea of my first impressions of the game. But I do want to talk about something because I am, according to this, 77 hours into my first playthrough. Now, this is the playthrough that I'm doing stream-wise. I am doing a completionist journey as best as I can with my Wood Elf Circle of the Moon Druid, and I have only ever streamed those sessions. I don't play any of those sessions offline. I also have a sorcerer down here who I'm playing. One of these is my sorcerer. That's the sorcerer. He's about 10 hours in, and then the multiplayer one I think is a little less, about 8 hours in. So I am 77 hours into the game at this point. I am firmly into Act 3. If I had to estimate, I would think that I probably have, based on, I've tried not to spoil things for myself, but based on what I see other people talking about on the internet, people I know who play the game similar to how I play it, I can expect to get around 150 hours out of my first playthrough. So I am about halfway through, which is right on track for what I told everybody when I started this. I said it was probably going to take me about 2 months, maybe a little bit longer, to get through my first playthrough, because even though we are streaming every single day right now, Starfield's about to drop, and there's going to be a little bit of a gap in Baldur's Gate 3 content before we start staggering those two, and then Cyberpunk's coming down the line at some point with Phantom Liberty. But the point is, 77 hours into the game, in Act 3, I'm about halfway done at this point. Should you play this game? I think it's a no-brainer. There are a few caveats to that, however, and I do want to load up my recently saved game, and I want to talk about a few things here, because obviously I am a little bit prejudiced given the fact that I grew up on Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and I've also grown up with Dungeons & Dragons as like my primary tabletop gaming source. I've played some Starfinder. This year was the first time I tried Starfinder. It was a lot of fun. We actually have a playlist here on the channel if you want to watch that actual play session with myself, Babylonia, Mujin, and Gila. I think we did about 20 hours was roughly the length of time that it took us to do the incident at Absalon Station. And I, of course, have played Pathfinder games from Owlcat. Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, was it called? Which are great games, by the way, but they don't hold a candle to Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3, finally, for the first time in the history of my gaming library and life, Baldur's Gate 3 is the first game that took the title away from Baldur's Gate 2 as the best CRPG that I have ever played. Now, does that mean it's the best RPG of all time? Nah, that's a hard one because I've played a lot of really good RPGs that are up there in like my top list, like Red Dead Redemption 2, oh my god. The most recent two God of War games, oh my god. Cyberpunk 2077, oh my god. Like, Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, Deadfire. Deadfire is amazing. Dragon Age Origins, amazing. Like, I've played a lot of good RPGs over the years. So, should you play Baldur's Gate 3? So let's talk about a few of the caveats that you should probably consider before you actually go out and buy this game, assuming you're not one of the masses that has already made the plunge. So first and foremost, as of this recording, it is only available on the PC, but it is coming to the PlayStation 5 very shortly, and they just confirmed the other day that it is coming to the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S later this year without the parity. The only thing missing from the Series S version is split screen for co-op. I don't know of that many people that are playing co-op. There are some, but it's such a small number, they're not really too worried about it. They will eventually figure it out. They've got Microsoft engineers helping Larian to try to figure out how to get to work on the Series S. So if you're really looking forward to playing it on the Series S, one of the caveats is that you can, but you won't be able to play co-op split screen as of this recording. Now that could change a week from now. I don't know. I can't predict the future. But it is very shortly coming to the PlayStation 5 with a confirmed launch date. And then it's coming with an unconfirmed launch date somewhere later this year in the fall to the Xbox Series X and S. So if you're waiting to play this game on a console, you will have to wait a little bit longer. Now, if you've not watched any of my streams, right now I'm on the mouse and keyboard layout. I play this game, I play about 95% of this game, I play on the controller. I'm on an Xbox Series X controller. It switches the UI over. We'll show you what that looks like right here. So if you're someone who's been on the fence about playing this game because you weren't sure if you were going to like it, I just tabbed out. Let me move this window over so that I don't accidentally do that. I don't need to be seeing that. Um, if you're someone who is hesitant about playing it because you're not sure about mouse and keyboard and you want to be able to play on a controller, you absolutely can. I play this game on a controller. I have a lot of controller guides on my channel. If you want to see what this game looks like and how it plays on the controller, all you got to do is watch some of my videos or tune into one of my live streams, because I do the controller like 95% of the time. And I've already said, once they confirmed that it was coming to the Xbox, I said I'm gonna hopefully, it'd be cool if Larian could, give me a free copy of that, because I've been supporting them since early access through 3 years and everything. But I'd be happy to buy it again for the Xbox because it is such a good game. It gives me another reason to own it on a platform that I love. And I'm on an old gaming laptop with a 1080 in it, so I mean, it runs great on my old machine, but it'll run better and look better on my Series X. So if you're someone like me who has an older rig and you're just not sure if your potato is going to be able to run it, well, the good news is that it's coming to the consoles. So if you have a next-gen console, you'll be able to run it there. So that's one of the caveats for some people. The other caveat is, as much as I love this game, this is going to be a fun one to tackle, everybody. So bear with me here. If you don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons or tabletop rules, there is possibly going to be some aspects, possibly will be some aspects. I said that my grammar was wrong there. There will possibly be some aspects to this game that you might find confusing. They do not do a great job of tutorials. There are some really good tutorials, but I think the number one complaint that I've seen from people around the board is that there aren't that many tutorials in the game. And as a result, it can be kind of confusing knowing what's what, how do the stats work. And of course, I can go out there and create all the guides that I want. Not everyone's going to see them because of algorithms and stuff like that. So when it comes to a developer making a game, they do need to have the best tutorials possible to make sure that new players can understand what they're getting into and how to play the game. Now, that's not to say that it's hard to learn. It's not. Especially if you take it and play it on Explorer mode, which is the story mode. You don't need to know any of the rules to be able to play it on Explorer mode, because it's going to be fairly self-explanatory. You won't have to worry about the stats and the mechanics and all the little things like mob immunities. Some of that stuff gets thrown out the window. You get hit point boosts. I play on Explorer mode, and I know D&D like the back of my hand. And I still choose to play on Explorer mode because when it comes to my streams, I'm not here to show how to beat the most challenging encounters with tactics. I'm here to do the story, to do voiceovers, to read, to interact with the community, and to have fun playing the game. My sorcerer playthrough, which is largely offline, that I'm playing on harder difficulty modes because I do want to feel the challenge in an offline setting and also be able to record videos for some of those fights where strategy is more important, and to upload those here on YouTube. So if you don't know Dungeons and Dragons and you've never played Pathfinder or Starfinder or Castles and Crusades or anything like that, it doesn't matter. You don't need to. There are going to be some aspects of the game that might be a little bit confusing because they don't necessarily give you great tutorials on them. So that's a caveat. Especially when you get in here, you start looking at the complexities of your character. And you start looking at, oh my God, there's all this equipment, and what do all these stats mean, and what do all these skills mean, and what is all this stuff, and oh my God, spell book, and what do you mean I can change spells out, and there's what common abilities and reactions, what are reactions, and oh my God, there's a hot bar, and what do I do about the hot bar? And then if you switch over to the controller, it becomes this thing of, well, not just now I have radial menus that I have to worry about, and how do I deal with all the radial menus? And oh my God, there's just so much going on. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I equip? And on top of that, we also have things like, let's take a look at this, and we can go over and there's camp gear. There's a difference between like my equipped gear and camp gear. Like what is going on here? Like there's just so many things going on. And that can be very confusing to a lot of players, especially when you look at something like this and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? There's just so much information overload. That can be your thing. It is a real thing for people who have never played D&D before or never played a tabletop game before. The other thing about this game, and I'm not going to show it here because it's combat, and if you want combat, just go watch the live streams or one of my big bad boss fights or big bag encounter videos because we do tons of content, combat stuff every single day. Combat is turn-based in this game, which means it's slow. It's not action-based. There are some incredible action moments that happen during combat, but combat is extremely complex, and there's a whole series of videos dedicated to that subject because it is so complex. There are lots of different things. I would say check out my quick tips guide series. We cover things like, reactions and spell casting and sorcerer points and learning new spells as a wizard and doing knockbacks and dealing with the environment, how to do environmental damage with like water and acid and fire and blowing things up and setting grease on fire and punting people off of buildings and into the void and all these different things. And then there's the shape changing and then animal companions and it can be overly complex. So those, I think, a couple of caveats would be, thinking about the controller stuff and the console stuff, and then not necessarily a ton of tutorials that teach newbies how to play Dungeons and Dragons. There are tutorials in this game, and they do teach you how to play this game, but there are, and I will say, as much as I love this game, and I have given this game a 10 out of 10 across the board in every category, the one area that I would say that it slacks just a little bit is there aren't enough tutorials for new players. For someone like me, for the most part, I've figured it all out. But there are even still things that despite all my knowledge of Baldur's Gate 3 from early access over 3 years, and despite all my knowledge of 5th edition, there are little things that I didn't know. As an example, for example, I'm live streaming. This has been about a week ago, and Mujin comes on my. He's one of the guys I play multiplayer with. He's also a content creator, so check him out. Him and Bubbalonia I play with on Tuesdays. Mujin comes on my channel and he goes, "Did you know that you can dye your armor?" And I went, "What?" You can dye your armor and you can dye your camp clothes. So there's a whole nother level of cosmetic to this game that I didn't even know about until like a week ago, despite all these years in early access and everything else. So there are still things that I'm uncovering, even with all of my knowledge of the game. I learn something new every week about a game that I make content around and I am more or less an expert on. That goes to show you the level and depth of the gameplay that this has behind it. And on top of all of that, here's the thing that gets me the most. And if you've watched, I did a video recently on the mastercraft of storytelling. This is one of the few games that has brought me to tears multiple times. And if you've ever tuned into one of our live streams, you've probably seen me crying at some point or the other, whether it's from sheer emotional overload to things that are incredibly sad to things that are incredibly joyous. The writing, the motion capture, the voice performances. And here's the thing, the actors and actresses who did all the characters in this game, they didn't just sit in a booth and do voices. They did all the mocap for this game. We're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people doing mocap. They built their own mocap and cinematic studio from the ground up just to build this game. And they have done an incredible amount of detail with the facial expressions, the voiceovers, and everything else. So from a storytelling perspective, I mean, you talk to somebody in your party. Let's just say I want to talk to let's talk to Shadowheart. This is my romance companion. And let's see what she has to say.
His own father.
Spoiler alert, by the way.
Hope freedom from the pact is
And I
worth
don't
it
have
to
the
you.
audio levels adjusted perfectly for this video because mostly I'm here to talk about the things. But there's all these different options here. And I've already unlocked most of these things, so I've already talked to her about a lot of things. But, we're in a relationship, and I can talk to her about how's our relationship. Can I have a
I
kiss?
suppose you've earned it.
I have earned it. Thank you very much. Smoochy, smoochy. You could have relationships in this game, which is really cool. And there's a lot of depth to the relationships here based on your actions and your decisions because it impacts these characters. So from a storytelling perspective, they have done a great job with this game. So here's what I have to say to you if you're going to think about, should I play Baldur's Gate 3? Well, I would say that if you have oodles and oodles and oodles and oodles and oodles and oodles of time on your hands, and you want to dive into something that's going to change your life, get ready. get ready. If you never played the first two Baldur's Gate games and you're of the generation that is getting into this for the first time, you're in for a treat. There's around 70 to 80 hours of base gameplay, up to a couple hundred of hours if you're a completionist run. If you're like me, you're probably shooting for middle of the road in your first playthrough, which is about 150 hours, and then we're doing more things with other characters. And that's the thing. The replayability of this game means that it's not, and I think even Larian has said this, it's not meant to be something that's just played and thrown away. It's meant to be something that you play and come back and play again and come back and play again and come back and play again. This is not a lobby-based game where you jump in and jump out and play for 20 hours and then never go back. Quick commercial break, everyone, to give a shout out to all of these amazing people who are the guild champions at the highest tiered membership here on our channel. And of course, all of the members who help keep me full time and doing this for your enjoyment. If you would also like to become a member, you get access to tons of special stuff like live stream, member only chat, private videos for our members several times a week. It's really simple. Just pick your tier, go from there. You can also do super chats or super thanks on any stream, YouTube short, or video that you see. Don't forget the Discord. Links are down below. Let's get back to the video. This is something that is meant to be a 5 to 10 year community building game, just like Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, where we still have people playing these games 20 plus years later, like Dragon Age Origins, like Icewind Dale 1 and 2, like the Neverwinter Nights games, like the Knights of the Old Republic games, like, Pillars of Eternity games. This is a game that has a massive community around it, and that community isn't going anywhere because this game is meant to be played over and over and over and over. If you're just looking for a quick fix and you just want to play like a 30 to 40 hour storyline, you're better off shooting for something like Jedi Survivor, God of War Ragnarok, or some of those single player linear games that have a very clean cut defined path from point A to point B. This has like 17,000 different permutations, which means if you really want to see all the little things that are different between all the different characters and the combinations of things you can do and conversations you have and decisions you make, you have to play the game multiple times. Which means if you're someone who really likes to sink your teeth into something that is going to define the next few years of your life, this is the game. If you're just looking for something quick and easy, probably not it. But if you're looking for something more, Baldur's Gate 3, everybody. That's my take. Should you play it? Hell yes, you should play this game. Is it for everyone? No. Turn-based combat is slow for some people. They don't like that. They don't necessarily want lots of cutscenes. They don't necessarily want lots of conversation options. They just want action-based combat, fast, go, 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 dopamine hits every 10 seconds. So caveats to that conversation. I think it is a great game. I think you should play it. I'm playing it. I'm having fun. Daily streams at 11 a.m. Hopefully we'll see you there. Don't forget to check the Discord. Links are down below. And of course, all the other playlists here on the channel because we do lots of different things. Plus all the cool things we do for our members with all the member videos and member-only live stream chat and all that other stuff. So hopefully we'll see you on the other side, everyone. Until then, stay safe and happy gaming.